Well, speaking of the sin of lust in the life of the INFJ, this is an interesting one. This is a funny one to discuss because, on the one hand, similarly to some other sins, lust has to do with a form of bodily gratification, right? I mean, that's the least that can be said about it. And since one of the unconscious fantasies of the INFJ personality has to do with moral asceticism, a certain form of being devoid of anything that has to do with the body, the idea of purifying the body. You know, this set of images tend to be quite influential over the fantasy life, unconscious fantasy life of many INFJs. I mean, from that to the inference that INFJs behave rather conservatively in relation to matters of lust and sex and sexual gratification, in relation to the whole notion of promiscuity, debauchery, or sexual exploration, experimentation, these things. I think, well, first of all, it's not that easy for me to make universalizing remarks, even less conclusions, in that department, because people who, are in my confidence or am in their confidence, or it's a mutual thing, even then they won't necessarily easily talk about these things. So I have limited exposure, let's put it this way. What I can say from the little exposure that I've had, or what I've been able to observe, is that there is certainly an outward social conservatism, a privacy, right? INFJs are certainly not the kinds of people that come across as particularly lustful. They don't come across as particularly eager to gratify their appetites. SE dominance will be much more likely to come across this way. Let's not forget that INFJs and INTJs too are SE inferior, so the question of SE gratification is always going to be a little bit complex for INFJs and can be a big source of guilt. Guilt plays a big role here. Let's not forget that guilt is very present in the life of a lot of INFJs, and that often, perhaps all of the time, guilt has a prototype, which is a form of sexual guilt. And that applies to INFJ in a big way. Now, having said that, I would still add that, again, limited exposure, but one thing that I've been able to observe, and I would love to hear what you have to say in this regard, but it seems that once the INFJ is trusting enough, once they feel safe enough, in a sense, once you're no longer in this kind of social mode of interaction, but it's a more private mode of interaction, and they feel free to open up, the guilt is not as present, not as operative, they can turn out to be pretty kinky, and they can turn out to have played their game rather well and kept a facade of conservatism, where what you were dealing with the whole time was privacy, yes, but not conservatism, sometimes quite the opposite, or at least, an eagerness to explore how to express their sex drives, shall we say. And that's not a bad thing, it's a healthy thing. So believe not always in appearances, is what I would conclude. But again, this is a tough one, so looking forward to hearing feedback from you in the comments. Okay, by the way, don't forget, I have a Patreon page which you can join. You can click on the page below to join my Patreon for a small amount every month. You get access to some bonus video content and our Discord server, so it's a great deal for a small amount. And also, I need you more than ever. I could not do this without you, so please consider it. And don't forget about my 2 books. The latest one, The Infinite Soul, on the life of the INFJ in the contemporary world. as well as the Ecstatic Soul, which is all about the INFJ mind, in the inner world of the INFJ. Both books available at the links below. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye.